In the government work report this year, delivered at the opening of the first session of China's 14th National People's Congress, one of the highlights is the progress made in Hong Kong, Macau, and Taiwan. The report noted that the law of the People's Republic of China on safeguarding national security in the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region has been already put into effect, and the principle that Hong Kong should be administered by patriots has also been applied. With the latest policy shifts and the business environment getting ever better, improved in Hong Kong, what is Hong Kong's future outlook? Henry Tang Ying-yen, a member of the Standing Committee of the CPPCC, who served as Hong Kong Chief Secretary, spoke to me on the sideline of the two sessions. He explains Hong Kong's role in connecting the Chinese mainland with the rest of the world. He also explains the nature of Hong Kong, a region which always welcomes global competition. How is Hong Kong's economy recovering at this moment? What do you think? Which stage?
Hong Kong's recovery is we are recovering out of COVID. As you know, our COVID restrictions have been quite severe, very consistent with the mainland's COVID policy. But we are kind of caught in the middle because we are a very outward-looking economy. So we cannot maintain that closed loop, so to speak, for very long. And our economy has suffered. So now coming out, I think we have recovered quite strongly. I'm cautiously optimistic for this year because the Chief Executive, John Lee, has set a very clear path for Hong Kong. The Financial Secretary has laid a foundation for us to build on. And thirdly, he has come out with a counter-cyclical budget so that we can weather some of the challenges of this recovery, of the past challenges. However, I also think many of the challenges are still ahead of us. We have still many issues with global economy, the tension with the US and some of the Western countries with our mainland. And Hong Kong is in a very challenging position to overcome these issues so that we will be able to continue our economic growth.
Right. Hong Kong is believed as the super connector between China and the rest of the world. Now, one of the things that we have in the world is sometimes it's much more ideologically divided. We are seeing, quote unquote, China versus the West, as some rhetorics go. So, Henry, to you, what does that mean for Hong Kong? How Hong Kong would be able to play that role of a super connector?
Hong Kong has always been very, very strong and very capable in playing the role of a bilateral and multilateral platform. Now, we are basically a portal for inward investments into the mainland and also a platform for outward investments from the mainland to overseas. Hong Kong has all the strong infrastructure, software, and hardware in place so that we can capture this platform economic and prosperity and employment opportunities. We have a robust legal system that is consistent and also well known by many of our trading partners. And also at the same time, our financial system is very strong and very healthy. So we are in an ideal position to play this role of an open platform for multilateral trade and for bilateral agreements.
There are a lot of competitions, though, at this very difficult time in the world, the economy. A lot of economies are trying to strive as much as they can. Some talk about the competition between Hong Kong and Singapore, between Hong Kong and some other places. Now, how do you see this competition, the nature of this competition? What do you see is the sustainable advantages that Hong Kong has over the others?
Hong Kong has always welcomed competition. I always have a saying that Hong Kong runs faster when you have somebody snapping on your heels. People tend to be complacent if they are a leader without someone chasing them. So Hong Kong has always had competition, and we have always excelled with competition. But Singapore's competition in Hong Kong, I feel it is not a life and death competition. Our two places, both Singapore and Hong Kong, are small economies, very outward looking, very internationally based and diversified. But at the same time, we have very little, if any, natural resources that we can use ourselves. So therefore, we have to embrace multilateral trade, we have to embrace financial systems, and we have to embrace our international and domestic trading partners. Hong Kong has a very clear advantage. We are part of China. Now, being part of China, I have no doubt that in the foreseeable future, China will be the strongest growth engine in the world economy. And I'm sure many, many of our Western trading partners are really anxiously hoping that they can invest, trade with China. And Hong Kong is an ideal place to do so.
But we are in a grand transition, as Chinese President Xi Jinping put it, probably one of a kind in 100 years. And therefore, one wave after another challenges might be coming up as we speak. So to you, what is the ultimate strength that we have in our hands and also in our heart?
The spirit, the fighting spirit is very, very important. The ability to unite is very important. The ability to unite and fight together, and so that the strength of the collective group is greater than the strength of the individual together. So it's 1 + 1 greater than 2. Having said that, our country is faced with many, many challenges, both internationally, both with our bilateral trading partners, both in terms of, also in terms of technology, in terms of our trade, and in terms of some of the financial sectors that we are operating in. So as you can see, China does not lack challenges. And I can't say, oh, I see smooth sailing all the way going forward, because those days are behind us. Those days, we were very poor, and many of the developed countries see that helping China is actually beneficial for them. So they get consumer goods, help with their inflation. They have not seen inflation for many, many years. And at the same time, it's a heart where they feel helping a developing country is a good deed. I agree with that. But China is still a developing country. Although we have come a long way from where we were before, but we are not a developed economy per se. So therefore, it's very important to tell the China story well, so that people will be able to understand China better. I think both in terms of economically, socially, as well as internationally. And secondly, I think it is also important that other countries will see us as a friendly partner rather than a direct competition. It's like when you asked me the question about Singapore, and I said we welcome competition, because without competition, we will not be able to progress and go forward as quickly when you're running on the track. As if someone is chasing, snapping on your heels, you tend to run faster and work a little bit harder. And that's what we want to see.
Mr. Tang, we see some institutional reform taking place with China's government. We also have got to know that the top office overseeing Hong Kong affairs is especially to be elevated to a unit answering directly to the leadership body of the Chinese Communist Party. Now, what would that mean for Hong Kong?
I have seen some of the media reports about the change of status, the elevation, so that we will report directly to the Chinese Communist Party in the future rather than to the State Council. Of course, it hasn't been announced yet, although I think we should probably see something very quickly. But I just want to say that if that were to happen, I would welcome it with open arms, because it is the Central People's Government and also the China Communist Parties how they see Hong Kong as an important element under the one country, two system. It's also their way of reaffirming the one country, two system, of going forward into the future. Secondly, it also means that in the future, our issues, our words, and our challenges will go directly to the senior echelon of the ruling party of China, which is the China Communist Party. So if that were to happen, and of course I'm answering this hypothetically, I would welcome it warmly and completely.
Henry Tang, it's always a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.